Good morning, everyone. Quite the auspicious Monday, the first one of the year, and welcome to season 3, episode 1 of How I Met Your Mortgage. I'm Adam Smith with Just the Tips Coaching. With me, as always, although not here locally this time, is our marketing director, Jenn Wayboer. Good morning, Jenn.
Good morning.
Oh, okay, you are with us. Good. And Jenn has been on vacation this weekend in California, so she's doing this remote. So, again, live video, you guys bear with us as sometimes there are technical difficulties, particularly with the remote equipment, etc. And also in California is our guest today, Grant Inaba. Grant, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How's it going? Happy New Year.
Likewise. Thank you. So this is kind of unique for us. A lot of our activity is us seeking out potential guests. It's probably 10 or 20% of the time of potential guests seeking us out. So I'm really excited to have you with us. It's going to be a very unique perspective on a number of different things, particularly your locale, your the subset of your industry that provides. So this should actually be really cool stuff for our guests today, and hopefully we'll be able to absorb and deal with any technical issues that arise from Jenn's perspective, although I suspect this may be a lot of Grant and Adam having a conversation because of it. But Grant, tell us about you, certainly where you're at, who you're with, how you got started. I'll try to limit my questions to, half a dozen at a time, but let's start there, man.
Sure thing. Yeah, I started real estate about. Actually, I got licensed in 2011,
Okay.
and did real estate for about a decade or so. Started with Richmond, and then joined an independent real estate brokerage in the area, in the San Francisco Bay Area, here where I'm located at. It was a great time. Learned a lot of stuff from both companies about how to do real estate, both from a kind of corporate and startup perspective with a big technology focus, as well as an independent brokerage that was, kind of much more family focused. From there, it's pretty successful. Was able to join Compass Real Estate, and at Compass, it's really a combination of both of those types of philosophies and atmospheres. Very, very tight knit, very, very local focused, but at the same time with a kind of a corporate network and a lot of corporate backing and a lot of focus on technology too.
I love that. Those are all really good things to be making changes for. And we get the question a lot, particularly from our coaching clients, about changing companies. And of course, my answer to that is I really don't know. I've always maintained the mentality that you don't really work for a company, you work for your clients. And in the long term, if you've got this structured in a manner that we would like to see from everyone, and certainly from our coaching clients, is that your clients never really know that you've got your own operation, your own assets, website, email, social media, so on and so forth, so that if you do decide to change companies, and this doesn't really apply to Grant, but for all of you watching, that you can take your entire machine, unplug it from Keller Williams, for example, shift it over to Remax, another hypothetical, and plug it back in and never miss a beat. Your team keeps operating the way that they do, all of your assets keep operating the way that they do. Your clients never really know the difference unless they're paying uber close attention to, some finite details on contract documents, those kinds of things. But Graham makes a really solid point here, and I know it wasn't really part of my inquiry, but I really want you guys to hear that there are good reasons, culture, technology, things that are going to help further your business, further your personal life, whatever the case may be, that do make solid reasons for changing companies. So you've got to weigh those things carefully. And Grant, I didn't mean to jump into such a finite and detailed topic about real estate agents changing companies from your mere introduction, but it is important data. So thank you for allowing me to do that.
Actually, to take that to kind of a longer tangent,
Please.
I was very, very strategic in joining Redfin, also joining Climb, and then also making it Compass. I wanted to make sure and stay at a brokerage where I could learn everything I could until I went to people. They're kind of just moving around in the water, and I find actually a lot of people that switch brokerages, a lot of times they're doing it because they're blaming their failures on the brokerage. And honestly, at any single brokerage, no matter how big or small or how helpful or not helpful, you can still get your own work done. The brokerage is really only there to accentuate your own business. So honestly, I wouldn't advise anyone to move around unless they actually felt it was, something of a strategic move like I did myself.
Yeah, something that's going to further enhance, make you more productive, give you more tools. Certainly nothing that's going to make you a better real estate agent, a better salesperson, anything to that effect. But if you guys are finding those avenues, those of you watching, where a change like that is something that's going to make you more productive or enhance the things that you're already doing, then by all means, absolutely. And at the risk of offending, and this really won't offend anybody in our audience because this is a real sales oriented audience, I do remember seeing a joke, a meme, something to that effect online about a broker announcing that they're going to change companies, and somebody responding saying, yeah, you're not going to sell anything there either. So yeah, make sure that you're doing those kinds of things for those purposes, enhancing your business, making you more productive, helping you with work-life balance. Those are also very important things that the right company may very well be able to provide you. All right, so let's backtrack a little bit, Grant. What were you doing before real estate?
I actually had a number of careers. Previous to real estate, I worked in libraries as a librarian.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a first for us. Really cool.
yeah, exactly. As a librarian, I wanted to work in public service, and I knew that it wouldn't be able to give me the salary that I wanted in order to have a lifestyle I wished for. So I wanted to invest in real estate as well in order to have passive income, kind of help supplement extra vacations or maybe a nicer car than what a librarian might afford. So I was very interested in real estate and got licensed. And the real estate industry actually started to go downward during the recession, and real estate, also went downward, but started to pick up much quicker. In fact, in libraries, they're still trying to get funding that they lost in 2007. So,
Yeah, I'll bet that's true. I'll bet that's not unique to California or the Bay Area.
oh yeah, nationwide, I think libraries are, they're obviously shifting with the times, and it's still a great industry to be in, but I think they're budget-wise, they're having to be a lot more creative with things.
So I would be willing to bet that there are a number of things that translate from doing that have helped further your real estate business. One, I don't think there's any equivocation that that is an industry that requires the utmost in attention to detail and organization.
Yep.
I mean, libraries are, these huge, sprawling labyrinths. And if I'm looking for a single book, a single author, a single, microfiche entry, now I'm dating myself, then the library has to know, the librarian has to know at that kind of organization where to find that one specific item. I'd be willing to bet that your attention to detail exceeds the majority of our industries.
Probably, yeah. I think that is something that is a special skill of mine. Attention to detail, organization, those are definitely the skills that I carry from libraries.
Okay.
Access to information and be able to absorb it and regurgitate it, it's also very important as well.
And there was undoubtedly a lot of consumer interaction, a lot of customer relation type of stuff as well.
Yeah, I
You're
actually,
interacting with people all day that way.
yeah, that's very, very true. Like most librarians, I was, I think, maybe a semi-introvert, and real estate certainly helped me get in front of more people and become more comfortable and things like that. But yeah, there is less interaction for sure.
That is really a cool background. I probably have met tens of thousands of real estate agents over the years, and I can't say that I ever came across somebody who had been a librarian in a previous career.
Yeah,
That is really cool. All right, so tell us about your business structure. How many people are in your organization? What your team looks like? What your support staff looks like? Give us an idea of how that structure lays out.
so Compass is really focused on capturing major metropolitan markets where, in California is actually San Francisco Bay Area is one of those markets where I'm at. So there's thousands of us, in fact, Compass has acquired other brokerages that have added to our numbers at Compass. I actually work specifically in the Oakland and East Bay area, east of San Francisco. I've got a team currently of three agents and three agents plus myself, and we basically work every nook and cranny of the East Bay, and that covers about five different counties. It's really nice is that any other client that comes to our team, we can network together in order to help service them and find them exactly the right house we're looking for. We find there's a lot of people that maybe live in San Francisco, they want to buy in San Francisco, they find they can't afford it, so they have to come to the East Bay. East Bay is actually getting more expensive as time goes on, so they have to go further east. So they're going through maybe three different counties before they find some affordability options. Luckily, our team can help us, through all those different regions that they might experience.
Jenn and I have a ton of friends and colleagues stretching from you to Sacramento, including the wine country and Vacaville and on and on. So we're very familiar with the area. And of course, the joke for Denver applies certainly for San Francisco, except you can only go east apparently. And that, yeah, you drive till you qualify.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly how it is. Yeah, and luckily we have a very good transit system that will allow them to get back into San Francisco if they need to work or hang out with friends or family, things like that. So really, it's about educating the client that home ownership is possible. They figure out if their lifestyle will fit with wherever they're going to end up.
Well, and I do want to go back to covering some questions I have about your team, but I certainly want to make sure that our audience, your audience, certainly gets to know about the trials and tribulations of being in by far one of the most expensive real estate areas in North America. I mean, if there are any that are exceeding San Francisco, the Bay Area, well, we know Vancouver is one. It's in another country, technically. And maybe Manhattan. But I mean, San Francisco, Bay Area has got to be top three. So, what kind of issues does that provide for? Well, and what kind of successes, I guess, as well, does that provide for your clients, for your team? I mean, in the time frame that you've been in the business, you've seen a skyrocket of real estate values, real estate costs. That undoubtedly lends to homeowners insurance and property taxes and on, all kinds of things that have followed suit. What does that look like for you over the last 10 years of doing this?
Yeah, prices have really gone from very, very practical to very, very insane. But I think people need to keep in perspective. The perspective is that we are the capital of technology. Silicon Valley, San Francisco. There's people that come from all over the world to work these engineering type technology type jobs. So because of that, there's a lot of high salaries involved with paying these specialized people. So in respect, it all kind of scales equally. The thing, though, that is, I think, most important for our market to educate is maybe lower class, middle class workers. They really need to be able to invest and have home ownership so they can be able to stay in the Bay Area. There's so much of a kind of a migration outwards, very, very far, almost to 75 miles or so, to be able to have these lower and middle class workers be able to own a home and still be able to commute into San Francisco and the metropolitan areas where they might do service type jobs.
I know that this is an issue here in Denver, no question, and I don't know where Denver would fall in real estate values, and certainly lower than the San Francisco and Bay Areas, but maybe top 10. Has it produced an issue for first time buyers?
Oh yes, certainly, yeah. Most of those first-time buyers, they're paying very, very high rents already. So we need to get them to understand that in order to avoid high rents and also increasing rents for the future, that maybe it might be a good idea to move further eastward to own a home and be able to build equity for their families and maybe also their offsprings as well. I find that most all of our buyers, they are buying with the assistance of their parents or a relative that has equity built already. When they're able to gift them certain amounts of money or even gift them their own property that they've already purchased, then the next generation can be very, very, I mean, it benefits them completely. We don't really know what's going to happen with the next generation, but I think that a lot of younger homeowners are definitely going to benefit from that.
Yeah, that's really a solid point, and I don't think it's anything we've talked about in what's now our third season of doing this show every week. We never talk about the next generation, the multi generation, the wealth building benefits that this could have over 20, 40, 60, 100 years. And certainly in areas like yours and ours, that's enormous. We're not talking about middle America, rural Nebraska, whatever the case may be, where maybe the real estate values are increasing, albeit in a fairly undramatic fashion. But I mean, we could be talking about where somebody purchasing a home in one of these urban areas today and looking at what that could mean for the next generation or even the one after that. I mean, you could be talking about value and equity that has doubled, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled. I can't even imagine the numbers because we haven't put our minds to this conversation before. But you make a really solid point there, Grant, about the long-term financial success. And we talk about real estate, owning real estate being a requirement, almost a prerequisite to financial success. Nobody ever got wealthy without owning real estate. But to look at it from the perspective of your clients' children and their children is enormous. So thank you for that enlightenment because I don't think we've ever given it a thought, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, so circling back, tell us about any additional support in your team. Do you guys have TCs, assistants, those kinds of things? Are there people involved in your operation that are not real estate agents?
For the most part, we are all real estate agents. A lot of times, if there's a person that wants to learn about real estate and is very very energetic, then I'll hire them as an admin assistant and kind of teach them the basics along the way. We're still a pretty small team, so I would love to scale up to a point where we do have a say a marketing manager that can really help us out with social media and digital marketing. It's a very very big focus of mine, and I'd love to be able to train someone else to be able to kind of allow me time to focus on I think people.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, we do have a TC with our brokerage, and a lot of marketing support within the brokerage. And Compass is great because there's success managers that help us matriculate our careers. I mean, they have a lot of great support staff.
Fantastic. So just to circle back, I want you to understand that I think we look at it a little differently because Jenn does all that marketing for both of my companies, just the tips as well as the core, our mortgage company. And even better than finding somebody that I could train to do the things I do was finding somebody that could teach me to do new things.
Yeah.
Right? The goal here is to hire smart people and let them tell us what to do, not the other way around. All right, so Grant, tell us about, and I know that we're short on time because I keep peppering you with things that are for my own curiosity more than things that are related to how I met your mortgage. Um, Tell us what your lead gen activities look like. Where does your business come from? What kinds of things do you do, in the community? Obviously, we just breached the subject of social media, so let's certainly delve into that. And tell us how that's progressed over the 10 years of your career.
Oh yeah, it's a big question. We pretty much lead generate everywhere we can through traditional routes as well as modern routes. I think the traditional way of doing real estate is just as effective as the technological way of doing real estate. So we employ a lot of social media, of course, but we also do a lot of door knocking, a lot of really just open houses. I think is really the most important type of lead generation you could do, and I think that's always going to be the case.
Wow,
You can
that speaks volumes. I really hope our audience heard that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the cheapest. You can get right in front of the people that are thinking about buying a house. You can have a conversation with them directly. You can guide them from the very start, what their process should be and how to get them success.
Brilliant. All right. And how has that morphed? What do you guys think that that will look like in 2022 or 2025?
Oh, I think there's always going to be a lot of third-party people that are going to try and build a lot of online lead generation systems for us, for real estate agents. It's really going to be kind of a test of time to see which ones survive, which practices survive, and there's also people talking about Zillow and that type of online lead generation that may or may not still be present. Honestly, I believe that they'll also go through their own evolution. I think they'll still be effective, and we still use them as well. So yeah, I think real estate is actually going to be the same thing as it ever was. It's just going to be new tools, and we'll see how they allow us to interact with people.
Okay, so a little bit of development, growth in the lead gen activity industries, as it were, but that you would never substitute the things you've been doing all this time that work, the face to face, the relationship building, these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's important for you guys watching to know that what Grant's referring to, just like in his business, is that his lead generation is going to be able to adopt and get more tools that are going to enhance, not replace, the things he's doing and how he does his business, how he does his lead generation. That there will be things that'll make him a little more productive, that there will be things that will enhance the way he does things now, but nothing that's ever going to replace Grant and his door knocking, his relationship building, his one on one, face to face kind of time, because that's something that's been a staple since the dawn of an MLS and will continue to be important for years and years to come.
Yeah, I like how you emphasize enhancement because really it's what I do is the same thing that every other realtor does. I just try and do it the best I possibly can, and I think that probably better than the average real estate agent.
Yes, and I would agree. I don't think that there's anything new. There's no magic potion. I think some of the biggest keys to the lead generation work are that one, you have to do the work. If you're not constant and consistent, regardless of how you're doing your lead gen, whether it's knocking on doors or social media or anything in between, if you're not constant and consistent about it, it's not going to work. And I think that's one of the big failures that all of us that have direct to consumer sales type relationships struggle with. Um, and I think it's really, really important to understand that it's merely enhancement. That there's no magic potion out there, guys. I once had a student at a conference ask me what's the one thing I would teach to get to the level that we're at, whatever. I can't remember exactly how he posed the question, and I said work hard for 20 years. That's my magic potion. That's my unicorn. Is if you put in the work, if you're constant and consistent, you will be successful.
Yeah, yeah. There's a local real estate agent actually in our market that's very popular that I started on the real estate alongside, and one says, "Oh, how do you get to that guy's point?" And I say, "Well, all you got to do is work 80 hours a week," and that's basically what we did in our very first years.
Yeah.
I think that will help me build my client base, but also help me build the systems that I need in order to succeed in the future.
Oh, that you really hit a nail on the head with that. Let's expand on that. And Jen, I apologize if we're going to run a little over, but I certainly want our audience to hear this. Systems, Grant, that's huge. The more of this that you can systemize and automate, the more you're enhancing, the more you're productive. Tell us what that looks like for you.
For me, at the very, very core of the foundational practices of systemization is time management. I mean, you can systemize your heart's content, but if you don't have the time to manage all those things, then you're probably going to be running with your wheels off. Time management also, it helps you organize your own personal business. Forget all the systems out there that you might employ, things that add to enhance yourself. If you can't manage your own time, your own self, then you're not going to be working as efficiently as you possibly could.
You're singing our song, so we're very, very happy to hear you say this, and we're very happy that there's a different voice than Jen and I letting our audience hear this. But yes, happiness is a well-oiled calendar. Time management, time blocking, these kinds of things are crucial to making sure that your systemization, automation, and activities that can't be rolled into that are being done in as efficiently and productive a manner as is possible. So for those of you that are out there, if you are not absolutely in love cuddling it at night with your calendar, then let's get to that point, because that is something that is going to pay dividends for all of you going forward, I promise.
Yeah, yeah. And then when you're talking about systemization, really it's just a matter to each other. All those small pieces that you use to employ to create success, just make sure that they're all working in as complete sync as possible.
Brilliant. I love it. Yeah, Grant, yeah, I am so glad that you sought us out to be on the show because this has just been a wonderful voice that's not mine or Jenn's that is really preaching a lot of the things that we feel at the core are important to building a strict repeat and referral business through good lead gen, through good client retention systems, the automation, systemization. I can't emphasize that enough. And then, of course, the things that you've told us about picking a company, changing companies. There's just so much valuable content in here through this short episode of our show that I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Grant. It's really fantastic content. Jenn, am I missing anything? Is there, other things that you want to pepper Grant with? I know you're going to get cranky with me about running over, but if we're given the opportunity to collect data from, an outside, very distant third party that falls in line with our beliefs, I want to make sure we're getting it.
I think this has been great, Grant. It's wonderful to have a completely outside perspective from what we're used to. So, no, we really appreciate you being on the show and kicking off our third season, too.
Yeah, thank you. And then I think we were originally going to talk about social media. That was the original topic. But if you want to have another discussion about that another time, then I'm happy to do so.
Oh, and we do run sequels, the part twos. So yeah, when Jenn gets back to town, we'll have her put you on the calendar again. And of course, how often do we get to talk to a former librarian? That's also something that's just really fantastic that came out today. And Grant, obviously, a lot of our viewership is consumers. Certainly, since a lot of this will go on in your audience. So give us the highlights on how to get a hold of you. What's best? Website, phone, fax, social media handles, carrier pigeon, so that our viewership can get in touch with you.
So I'm located in the East Bay in Oakland, California. My team covers all of the East Bay, so if you ever have any needs in Northern California, let me know. Furthermore, I've got a network of agents that we do referral business with all across the state and all across the country as well. So, obviously, if you're thinking about real estate anywhere, then just call me up. Number here is 415-992-2330. And when you're talking about social media, all my social media handles are all Grant Good Agent.
Grant the Agent, very cool. And for those of you that will reach out to Grant for this kind of information, I want you to understand that Grant's got a very different perspective than we've heard on the show before with this multi-generational, building wealth type of mentality. So there may be something really useful in there for those of you that are thinking about your kids and their kids and so on and so forth, because that real estate could play a major part in that kind of estate planning is huge. Thank you for that nugget as well, Grant. I hope that our audience, I hope that your audience is able to really reap some benefit from you in that arena as well. All right. So, Grant, thank you for joining us. And again, we'll certainly get a copy of this off to you. For those of you watching, if you want more information about us, the show, being a guest on the show, like Grant reached out to us for, if you want to catch our weekly show, if you want to see our weekly video blog, which is the Weekly Little Tip, if you want a copy of my book, just the tips, use that text code at the bottom of your screen, text tips, sorry, Jenn, to its live video, text tips to 63566, and it'll ping you back all kinds of information, except for where to find my body once Jenn disposes of it. So again, thank you all for watching. Thank you to welcome to our third season of the show. Grant, a wonderful kickoff for the new year for us. So again, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. And the rest of you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.